Folks, we now have a full-blown controversy on our hands. Up until this week, it was all fun and games, right? Last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, it was Jokic. Jokic is the MVP, undisputed MVP. Anyone you ask, it's Jokic. No matter who you ask. Is it Embiid? No. Is it Giannis? No. Is it Dame? No. It's only Jokic. Every single person, 100% Jokic. They're the number one seed in the West. Jokic finally has his help. Look how much better they are with Jamal Murray on the team now healthy and Michael Porter Jr. on the team healthy. Watch this. Oh, my God, he's better than he was last year. And then you know what? They all wanted to give him 3 of them in a row, right? That was the whole historic thing. And even me, I was sucked into it, sucked into the propaganda machine of the Jokic deep state is what I'm calling it. The Jokic deep state is what I'm calling it. And I'm not here to slander Jokic. I like him. I think he could definitely deserve MVP. There's no shade to him. But what happened at the trade deadline changed everything. They got Reggie Jackson, who I said was terrible, and the Denver Nuggets have not been the same since. Jokic has been good. He's been incredible at times. And the Denver Nuggets have been losing. They're really bad defensively, and they just are losing to terrible teams. And all of a sudden you look up, and Joel Embiid is the leader in the clubhouse for MVP. Minus 175, which means you need to basically, to get $100, invest almost $200 into that bet to get it back. That's how much of a quote-unquote lock Joel Embiid is now to win MVP. He's been awesome. Sixers have been awesome. He's the leading scorer in the NBA right now. And there are like 6 guys averaging over 30. He has been clutch. He has been incredible. They have the same record as the Nuggets. They stand in second in the East. Things have shifted. 20 games left. Embiid appears ready to steal the MVP, just like Jokic did from Embiid last year. So if you're a Jokic fan, if you're a part of the deep state, what do you do? What do you do? You call your friends up at SiriusXM Radio, and you bring on some guests that you have in your pocket to say some shit, to say some crazy-ass shit, to bring the narrative back to Jokic. What do you say? What do you say? What is this new argument that could be possibly relevant enough to bring the conversation back over to Jokic? To bring the voters' minds and discredit Embiid? What can you say? What's the one thing that they're saying? Joel Embiid is lazy. No, not just that he's lazy. He takes plays off at the end of games. It doesn't matter that he's regularly one of the most clutch players in the NBA, that he's only behind De'Aaron Fox as most clutch scorer in the NBA in fourth quarters. According to those guys, it's not just that he's lazy. It's not just that he takes plays off. It's that his mannerisms are lazy. His body language is lazy. Joel Embiid, most points per minute in NBA history. That's the lazy guy. Him. This is crazy. George Karl, Agent Zero, both went on SiriusXM NBA. And what did they say? Can't be Joel Embiid for the MVP because he takes too many plays off at the end of games, and he's just generally slovenly. He's just a sloth out there. You just watch him and you're like, yeah, he doesn't want to move that fast. This is against Jokic. Jokic isn't exactly Wile E. Coyote out there. Are we serious? Joel Embiid averaging 37 points per game, 8.5 rebounds and 4 assists, and 2.1 blocks in the month of March. Lazy guy. That's him. How do you average over a steal and over a block per game and be lazy? This is outrageous. I can't even... It was such an outrageous take. It took me a while to get outraged because it didn't exactly hit my brain, hit my cerebellum and start to sink in. Let's be honest, Jokic is kind of lazy sometimes on defense. You got Joel Embiid, one of the best defenders in the league, one of the most clutch players in the league, averaging more points in the league than anyone else for the entire season, most in March, highest PER, player efficiency rating in the league, which, by the way, has won it 8 years in a row for MVP. But no, the only thing we can say about Embiid in terms of why Jokic is the MVP and not him is that he's lazy. Here, if you don't believe me, you might think I'm just trolling because I could understand why you would think that. Let's just listen to George Karl, our resident NBA former head coach.
Why don't you think Embiid is in the race, Coach?
For me, I don't want to badmouth Embiid because I think he's really, really good.
Pause. Anytime someone says, I don't want to badmouth someone, but they're about to badmouth him.
I mean, a lot of my assistant coaches were in Philadelphia when he was a young player, and they kept telling me he's going to be the best guy ever to play the game. Best big guy ever to play the game. I see him moving in that direction, but he takes too many possessions off. He has lazy body language. He gets angry at things that we don't understand why. I just don't know if he's that NBA pro that we all love because he's a competitive SOB but from what I know in Philadelphia, everybody says he's.
By the way, pause. Is George Karl drunk right now? Did the deep state send George Karl a bottle of VSOP and say, hey, go off, King, on Sirius XM radio at midnight. We're going to pre-tape this shit at 1 a.m. and we're going to put it on at 7 a.m. to make you sound cogent because it's morning TV, morning radio, because he's drunk right now, right?
He's playing great. The games I've seen, he has played really, really well. And he's played great in the fourth quarters with a lot of comeback wins. So I just think it might be my, I can only like one big guy, and I'm going to take Jokic over Embiid.
What in the literal fuck are you saying? Also, really quick side note, because this was how it started. George Karl, isn't he the same guy who, when Doc Rivers became the head coach of the Orlando Magic, said that he didn't like all of these Afro-American head coaches being anointed? He said, Doc does a great job. Now there's going to be 4 or 5 more anointments of the Afro-American coach, which is fine because I think they've been screwed deep down inside. They have been screwed. But I have a great assistant coach that can't even get an interview. Wait. Okay. George Karl. Isn't this the same guy, George Karl, who said that Kenyon Martin and Carmelo Anthony were entitled and also lazy because they had 2 big burdens, all that money, and no father to show them how to act like a man? He wrote that in his book, George Karl. He said, George Karl, in his book, I'm reading the excerpt right now. As you've read, I grew up in a safe suburban neighborhood. Pause. Oh, my God, George Karl. With both my parents. I had a second father, the most moral, decent man I knew. I never made enough money as a player to get confused about who I was. When I compare my background to Kenyon's and Carmelo's, it's no wonder we had a few problems. Yup, same dude, calling Joel Embiid lazy with lazy mannerisms and lazy body language. And you know who I really like? That hard-working Serbian dude, Jokic. The one who is legitimately a sieve on defense and everybody's trying to find advanced analytics, even me, trying to find advanced analytics to show that Jokic is a better defender than what we see with our own 2 eyes because sometimes he takes multiple plays off in a row and just passes a lot. Yes, that guy is a harder worker than Joel Embiid. Let's look at the stats. Embiid's defensive stats this year include 10.2 rebounds, 9th in the NBA, 1.7 blocks, 6th in the NBA, 1.1 steals per game. Do you know how many players in the NBA have over 1 block and 1 steal per game? 3. Exactly 3. One of them is not Nikola Jokic. Jaren Jackson, the leader in the clubhouse for Defensive Player of the Year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, maybe the most underrated defensive guard in the league, and Joel Embiid. I can't believe you guys got me fucking standing for the Philadelphia 76ers. You got me coming in and doing this because of the deep state. Did I mention Embiid has been named with 3 All-NBA defensive teams already in his career? Pretty good for a lazy guy with lazy mannerisms. Just lazy. He just walks lazy. Just walks from the tunnel, walks from the bus to the tunnel. He's lazy. The way he walks around his house is lazy. His offense is the best in the NBA. That is a statistical fact. His defense, all NBA. His defense is even more incredible when you consider that now his role has changed on the Philadelphia 76ers to being a roamer on the backside of the defense. more active role that allows him to hunt blocks and defend the perimeter. Do I even need to find out how many miles he runs per game? Do I need to do that? Do we need to get a whoop on Joel Embiid? Do we need to put an aura ring on Joel Embiid in order to refute these racist-ass claims? People are out of their minds. They're either being used or they are part of the deep state. George Karl, for sure, in the deep state. Gilbert Arenas just trying to be relevant. Joel Embiid says this about his new role. I think it makes sense with our team, just someone that can protect the rim. We got a lot of guys that like to be aggressive, and then we have a lot of breakdowns defensively. So if you're going to have your best rim protector on a stretch 5, probably doesn't make a lot of sense. Or they're going to have a lot of wide open layups. It makes sense for the team, for me, to roam. Gilbert Arenas says this. I don't see the quantum leap from Joel Embiid. He takes a lot of possessions off. He usually dies out in the fourth quarter when he gets tired. These people aren't watching games. Dies in the fourth quarter? Asian zero. If Embiid died in the fourth quarter, how could he be the second most clutch scorer in the NBA? How? He's shooting 50% and 85% from the free throw line in the fourth quarter this year. He has a plus 112 for the year in the fourth quarter alone. Get the fuck out of here with this bullshit. Embiid might just mess around and still get the MVP. It's going to be one hell of a race. And I tell you what, the machine is going to get louder and louder and louder because they want that boy Jokic to win 3 straight MVPs now.